Alright, hey everyone. Yeah, so as I promised, I said I'd make this little short, little impressions or mini review video for Amnesia Machine for Pigs. So yeah, basically here I am. This is based on my Let's Play, so it's gonna be full of spoilers, so you have been warned. Okay, so the very fact that this game holds the Amnesia title puts the game under a lot of pressure. Because, as a lot of you may know, Amnesia is considered by many people to be perhaps one of the most immersive horror games to come out in recent years, and it's dearly loved by a lot of people, including myself. So, before we begin, I think it's important to mention that this game was not developed by Fictional Games, the developers of the first game, but rather by the Chinese Room. You might be familiar with the Chinese Room if you played their other game, Dear Esther, and I'd say that the influence of that type of gameplay can clearly be seen in A Machine for Pigs. So, as I mentioned during the Let's Play, the game was a bit of a mixed bag for me. I thought the story was interesting. The music score was top-notch. Like, the music, it really added a lot to the atmosphere. Especially the final hour, where all the music and speech came together. It was very effective, and it created a really cool climax, honestly. Now, even though the game was incredibly slow to begin with, I understand they are going for atmosphere and everything, but within the whole first hour, nothing that interesting really happened, and that was, like, considering how short the game is, that's almost a third way through the whole game. Like, I felt that the pacing was way off with the first hour. It was just simply too slow for a game that short. Now, my biggest problems with A Machine for Pigs, honestly, comes from the gameplay department. It just feels really stripped down. There were so many interesting things that were taken out, and it just felt that these things that were taken out added a lot of tension to the first game. Like, for instance, no longer do we have an inventory screen. So what does this mean? It basically means that all puzzles and puzzle items need to be very close to each other. So that means that you can also no longer combine items together. So what does that mean? It means that all the puzzles are stupidly simple. Like, everything is just grabbing something from one room and putting it in someplace else. Like, I don't even think you can call them a puzzle anymore. They just seemed more like chores, to be honest. Like, filling up fuel cans and lugging around canisters of chemicals. It doesn't feel like the best gameplay puzzle, if you know what I mean. They were just chores, basically. They were also few and far between. They took out the sanity mechanic, which I liked from the first game, as well as gave us an infinite light source, so that really removed a lot of tension and removed a lot of gameplay elements, like conserving your oil. Like, running out of oil in the first game, being chased in a dark room filled by monsters was really incredibly tense, and one of the game's best points. Because in the first game, light was both your friend and your enemy. And speaking of enemies, the pigs. The pigs, well, they just weren't scary, honestly. They're just overgrown animals. I understand the pig motif in the story and everything, but I wasn't scared. They weren't scary. They startled me a few times, sure, let's not get that, let's keep honest, but they reminded me more of the pig cops from the old Duke Nukem 3D games, and that's not exactly something I'd consider scary. We also barely got to interact with them anyway. They were more interested in, like, walking past us or in a corridor ahead of us and just being creepy than actually chasing us or posing any real danger or threat to us. And as I mentioned before, the game is criminally short. It took me a little over 3 hours for my Let's Play. And maybe you can get a little bit more if you read every single little thing, but unless you're a really slow reader, I don't think you'd get that much out of it. More. Honestly, I don't feel it was worth $20. Like, honestly, it was not the best value for my game. $20 for a 3-hour game, no thank you. But if it were on sale, I would say it would be definitely worth it to grab it. That would be totally worth it. So, the story and atmosphere were pretty great. The music, in my opinion, was its best feature. But the game was just lacking in the gameplay department, and after all, video games are an interactive medium, right? So that's kind of important. Otherwise, I could just go watch a movie, you know? Like, I play games so I could interact with them. So in short, it was a good experience. I enjoyed it, but it's perhaps not the best game, if that makes any sense. And maybe I'm being a bit unfair here and not judging the game on its own merits instead of keep comparing it to the first game, but come on, it's an Amnesia game. It should be judged by Amnesia standards, don't you think? It's still in the same series, and next games in the series should evolve, not go back and cut out stuff that made it interesting. And that's how I feel this game like handled. I felt like it was a majorly stripped down custom story for the first Amnesia. It was a very well done custom story, but I still felt it was a custom story. So yeah, basically those are my thoughts on the game. I hope you enjoyed the Let's Play. Tell me your impressions about how the game was. Like I'm honestly curious to see what you guys thought, and I don't know, it just didn't seem like the game to hold a lot of attention of many people. So I'll see you in the next game. So until next time, take care.